The sun beat down on Jedediah's farm, baking the cracked earth a dull, lifeless brown. Dust devils danced across the barren fields, mocking his efforts. It was 1963, but for Jedediah, it felt like the Dust Bowl all over again. The relentless drought had choked the life out of his land, just like it had done to so many others before. Jedediah was a good man, a hard-working man. He'd inherited the farm from his father, who'd inherited it from his father before him. Generations had poured their sweat and tears into this land, coaxing life from the stubborn soil. But now, it seemed, the land was finally giving up. His crops withered before they could even sprout. The well ran dry months ago. His livestock, once plump and healthy, were now gaunt and weak. He'd tried everything he knew, every trick his father and grandfather had taught him, but nothing seemed to work. Despair weighed heavily on Jedediah's shoulders. He was losing everything: his farm, his livelihood, his family's legacy. He owed the bank more than he could possibly repay. The bank manager, a stern-faced man with cold eyes, had made it clear foreclosure was imminent. Each morning, Jedediah would walk the fields, his heart sinking with every step. He saw the ghosts of harvests past, the promise of futures that would never be. The wind howled a mournful song, carrying with it the dust of broken dreams. He felt utterly alone, lost in a sea of despair, with no hope in sight. His hands, calloused and worn from years of labor, now hung limp at his sides. He was at the end of his rope. One sweltering afternoon, as Jedediah was listlessly mending a broken fence, the mailman, old Mr. Abernathy, drove up in his dusty jeep. He handed Jedediah a small, plain envelope. There was no return address, just Jedediah's name scrawled in neat, unfamiliar handwriting. Jedediah frowned. He rarely received letters, and certainly not ones like this. He wiped the sweat from his brow and tore open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a typewritten message. Mr. Jedediah Johnson. It read, "We understand your current predicament. A meeting has been arranged where assistance may be offered. Be at the crossroads of Willow Creek and County Road 12 at dusk on Friday. Come alone. Do not speak of this to anyone." Jedediah stared at the letter, his mind reeling. It sounded like something out of a spy novel. Who would send such a thing? And what kind of help could they possibly offer? He was deeply suspicious. It could be a cruel joke, or worse, some kind of scam preying on his desperation. He showed the letter to his wife, Martha. Her eyes widened with concern. "Jedediah, this sounds dangerous. Maybe we should just ignore it." But Jedediah couldn't shake the feeling that this might be his last chance. He was a desperate man, and desperation made people do strange things. "I have to go, Martha," he said, his voice firm despite the tremor in his hands. "I have nothing left to lose." Skepticism warred with a tiny spark of hope. Friday was only 2 days away. He had a big decision to make. Friday evening arrived, heavy with the humid air of a coming storm. Jedediah, after a sleepless night of agonizing, had decided to go. He told Martha he was going to check on the north pasture, not wanting to worry her further. He climbed into his old pickup truck, the engine sputtering to life like a tired cough. The crossroads of Willow Creek and County Road 12 was a desolate place, miles from anywhere. The only landmarks were a gnarled willow tree and a faded signpost, barely clinging to its post. As Jedediah drove, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a stark contrast to the grayness he felt inside. He arrived just as dusk was settling, casting long, eerie shadows. He parked the truck off the side of the road, his heart pounding in his chest. He got out, the silence broken only by the chirping of crickets. He scanned the surroundings, but saw no one. Had he been a fool to believe the letter? He waited, pacing nervously, kicking at loose stones. Each rustle of leaves, each distant hoot of an owl, sent a jolt of fear through him. He wondered who he was supposed to meet. A wealthy benefactor? A government official? Or something far more sinister? The possibilities swirled in his mind, each more unsettling than the last. The air grew colder, and a sense of unease settled over him. He almost turned back, convinced he'd made a terrible mistake. But then, he saw headlights in the distance, growing steadily brighter. His breath caught in his throat. Someone was coming. A sleek black sedan pulled up, its headlights cutting through the darkness. The driver, a burly man in a suit, got out and opened the rear door. Jedediah squinted, trying to make out who was inside. His jaw dropped. Stepping out of the car was John F. Kennedy. Jedediah stood frozen, utterly speechless. The President of the United States here, in the middle of nowhere, to meet with him? It was unbelievable. He must be dreaming. He rubbed his eyes, but Kennedy was still there, smiling warmly. Kennedy extended his hand. "Mr. Johnson," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "Thank you for coming. I know this is unconventional." Jedediah managed a weak handshake, his mind still struggling to process what was happening. Mr. President," he stammered, I don't understand." Kennedy chuckled softly. "Please call me John. And I understand your confusion. Let's just say I'm aware of the struggles facing farmers like yourself, and I wanted to see if I could offer some assistance, personally." He gestured towards the back seat of the car. "Can we talk? It's a bit chilly out here." Jedediah, still in a daze, nodded dumbly. He followed Kennedy to the car, his legs feeling like lead. He couldn't shake the feeling that he'd somehow wandered into a movie. The President of the United States was about to tell him why he'd orchestrated this clandestine meeting. The reality was too much to take in. He had so many questions, but his mind was blank. Inside the car, the air was warm and smelled faintly of Kennedy's cologne. The President turned to Jedediah, his eyes filled with genuine concern. "Mr. Johnson," he began, "I know things are tough for farmers right now. The drought, the rising costs, it's a perfect storm." Jedediah simply nodded, still finding it hard to believe he was having this conversation. Kennedy continued, "My administration is deeply concerned about the plight of small family farms. You see, Mr. Johnson, these farms aren't just businesses. They're the backbone of America. They're where we learn about hard work, about community, about the land. They represent our values." He paused, his gaze intense. "When family farms disappear, we lose a piece of ourselves. We lose our history, our heritage." He leaned forward slightly. "I believe it's the government's responsibility to help these farms survive, to ensure that future generations have the opportunity to carry on this tradition." Kennedy explained that he'd been briefed on Jedediah's situation and was deeply moved by his dedication. He understood the challenges he faced and wanted to offer direct support. He spoke passionately about the importance of preserving the American agricultural landscape and the vital role farmers played in feeding the nation and maintaining its cultural identity. His words resonated deeply with Jedediah, who felt a glimmer of hope ignite within his weary heart. He finally felt seen and understood. "That's why," Kennedy continued, reaching into his briefcase, "I want to offer you a federal grant, Mr. Johnson. It's specifically designed to help farmers in situations like yours." He pulled out a thick folder and handed it to Jedediah. Jedediah took the folder, his hands trembling. He opened it and saw pages filled with official-looking documents and figures. A grant?" he stammered. Kennedy nodded. "It's enough to modernize your farm, Mr. Johnson. To drill a new well, install a modern irrigation system, and diversify your crops." He pointed to a section in the folder. "We've outlined a plan here, based on information we've gathered about your farm. It includes planting drought-resistant crops, investing in new equipment, and even exploring the possibility of raising livestock that are better suited to the climate." He explained how the grant would allow Jedediah to escape the cycle of debt and dependence on unpredictable weather patterns. It would provide him with the resources he needed to become self-sufficient and resilient. He emphasized that the grant was not a handout, but an investment in the future of his farm and the community it supported. Jedediah listened intently, his eyes scanning the documents. It seemed too good to be true. Was this really happening? Could this grant actually save his farm? A wave of hope washed over him, stronger than anything he'd felt in months. He looked up at Kennedy, his eyes filled with gratitude and disbelief. "Mr. President," he said, his voice thick with emotion, I don't know what to say. Mr. President." "John," Jedediah said, still struggling to grasp the reality of the situation, "I am beyond grateful. This could save everything. But I have to ask, why all the secrecy? Why this meeting out here in the middle of nowhere? And what about the other farmers? Wouldn't they deserve the same help?" He ran a hand through his thinning hair, his brow furrowed with concern. "I'm just a simple farmer, sir. I don't understand politics. But this feels risky. What if someone finds out? What if this becomes a scandal? I wouldn't want to cause any trouble for you, Mr. President." The weight of the offer, and the potential consequences, settled heavily on him. He was torn between the overwhelming relief of a lifeline and the fear of the unknown. He knew that accepting this grant could change his life forever, but he also worried about the repercussions, both for himself and for the president. He didn't want to become a pawn in some political game. He voiced his anxieties. "Won't this cause problems if the news gets out? People will say you're favoring me, or that this is some kind of secret deal. It just doesn't seem right, somehow, even though I desperately need the help." His gratitude was genuine, but so were his concerns. He needed reassurance that accepting this extraordinary offer wouldn't come at too high a price. Kennedy leaned forward, his expression earnest. "I understand your concerns, Mr. Johnson. And I assure you, this grant is completely legitimate. It's part of a larger initiative my administration is developing to support family farms. However," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "we're still in the early stages. If this were to become public knowledge prematurely, it could create a political firestorm. There would be accusations of favoritism, demands from other farmers, and the entire program could be jeopardized before it even gets off the ground." He continued, "That's why the secrecy. I wanted to offer you this help directly, without all the fanfare and political maneuvering. My intention is to help farmers like you, not to create a political spectacle. And frankly," he added with a wry smile, "if word got out, my office would be flooded with requests we simply couldn't handle right now." He emphasized that this wasn't a secret deal, but a discreet way to get assistance to those who needed it most, while protecting the future of the program. "Your discretion is paramount, Mr. Johnson. I trust you understand." He looked Jedediah in the eye, conveying both sincerity and a quiet appeal for trust. "This is about helping you, your family, and ensuring the survival of your farm. Nothing more." Jedediah looked at Kennedy, his eyes filled with newfound hope and determination. The president's words had reassured him. He understood the need for secrecy, and he trusted Kennedy's intentions. He knew this was an extraordinary opportunity, a chance to save his farm and his family's legacy. He took a deep breath and extended his hand. "Mr. President," he said, his voice now firm and clear, I accept the grant, and I promise you, I won't let you down. I'll use this money wisely, to revitalize my farm and make it a place my family can be proud of once again." Kennedy smiled warmly and grasped Jedediah's hand, shaking it firmly. "I have no doubt you will, Mr. Johnson. I have no doubt at all. I believe in you, and I believe in the American farmer." The handshake sealed the agreement, a pact between a president and a farmer, forged in secrecy and fueled by hope. A weight lifted from Jedediah's shoulders. He felt like he could finally breathe again. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he had a chance now, a real chance, and he wouldn't waste it. As Kennedy prepared to leave, he gave Jedediah a final piece of advice. "Work hard, Mr. Johnson. And never give up on your dream." Then, with a nod and a smile, he stepped back into the car, and the sleek sedan disappeared into the night, leaving Jedediah standing alone at the crossroads, holding the key to his future. The drive home felt different. The old truck seemed to hum with a renewed energy, mirroring the excitement that coursed through Jedediah. The sky, still dark, no longer felt menacing but full of promise. He couldn't wait to tell Martha, but he knew he had to be careful. When he arrived home, Martha was waiting anxiously on the porch. "Jedediah! What happened? Are you all right?" He took her hand, his eyes shining. "I'm more than all right, Martha. I have something to tell you, but we have to keep it a secret, just between us." Inside, he carefully recounted the incredible meeting, showing her the grant proposal. Martha was stunned, tears welling up in her eyes. "Jedediah, this is a miracle." The next morning, Jedediah woke up before dawn, eager to get started. He reviewed the grant proposal, making notes and planning his next steps. He contacted a well drilling company, ordered new irrigation equipment, and researched drought-resistant crops. He felt a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. He started clearing the fields, pulling out the dead stalks and preparing the soil for planting. He worked tirelessly, his hands blistered and sore, but his heart filled with hope. Martha joined him, her own energy renewed by the promise of a brighter future. They worked side by side, their shared dream taking root in the parched earth. The farm, once a symbol of despair, was now a canvas for their renewed hope. Montage begins. Jedediah, sweat dripping from his brow, expertly maneuvers the new well drilling equipment. Water gushes forth, a life-giving torrent that soaks the parched earth. Martha, her face radiant, carefully plants rows of vibrant green seedlings, drought-resistant varieties that offer a promise of resilience. Jedediah, his calloused hands stained with oil, meticulously repairs a piece of broken-down farm equipment, breathing new life into the aging machinery. The camera pans across fields of healthy crops swaying gently in the breeze, a stark contrast to the barren landscape of the past. Golden wheat, lush corn, and plump soybeans bask in the sun. A newly built irrigation system sprays a fine mist over the fields, nurturing the plants and ensuring a steady supply of water, regardless of the weather. Cattle, once thin and listless, graze contentedly in a green pasture, their coats gleaming in the sunlight. Calves frolic playfully, a symbol of renewed life and prosperity. Jedediah and Martha, their faces etched with pride, survey their thriving farm, their eyes filled with hope and gratitude. They embrace, their love and commitment strengthened by the challenges they have overcome. The sun sets over the farm, casting a warm, golden glow over the land. The air is filled with the sounds of life, the chirping of crickets, the lowing of cattle, and the gentle rustling of leaves. Montage ends. The farm was transforming, slowly but surely, from a symbol of despair into a testament to the power of hard work and hope. The land was healing, and so was Jedediah's heart. Years passed. Jedediah's farm flourished. The new irrigation system ensured a steady water supply, even during dry spells. The drought-resistant crops thrived, yielding bountiful harvests. The livestock prospered, providing a steady income. Jedediah paid off his debts and invested in further improvements, securing the farm's future for generations to come. His farm became a local success story, a testament to the power of hard work, innovation, and yes, government support. Other farmers admired Jedediah's resilience and sought his advice. He became a mentor, sharing his knowledge and encouraging them to adopt new techniques. He never revealed the secret of the grant, honoring his promise to President Kennedy. But he always emphasized the importance of seeking assistance when needed and of embracing new ideas. He taught his children and grandchildren the value of hard work, the importance of community, and the enduring connection between people and the land. The bank manager, once so stern and unforgiving, now greeted Jedediah with a smile and a handshake. He even offered him a low-interest loan for further expansion, a far cry from the threat of foreclosure that had once loomed over his head. Jedediah's farm became a symbol of hope in the community, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, anything is possible with perseverance and a little help along the way. He proved that family farms could not only survive but thrive, contributing to the economic vitality of the region and preserving a vital part of American heritage. As the years turned into decades, Jedediah often found himself reflecting on that fateful night at the crossroads. He was an old man now, his hair as white as the winter snow, his hands gnarled with age, but his eyes still held a spark of the hope that Kennedy had ignited. He would sit on the porch in the evenings, watching the sun set over his thriving farm, and remember the despair he had felt before that meeting. He remembered the feeling of utter hopelessness, the fear of losing everything. And then he would remember the calm, reassuring voice of John F. Kennedy, the genuine concern in his eyes, and the extraordinary act of kindness that had changed his life forever. He realized that the grant had been more than just money. It had been a lifeline, a vote of confidence, a symbol of hope. It had given him the courage to persevere, to innovate, and to believe in himself again. It had not only saved his farm but had also restored his faith in the American dream. He often wondered what would have happened if he hadn't received that letter, if he hadn't decided to go to that secret meeting. He shuddered to think of where his family would be now, if his farm had been foreclosed upon. He knew that he owed everything to that one act of kindness, that one secret meeting with the president. And he was eternally grateful. He often thought of JFK and wished he could have thanked him properly. Jedediah loved spending time with his grandchildren, sharing his knowledge of the land and his passion for farming. He taught them how to plant seeds, how to care for the animals, and how to respect the delicate balance of nature. He would often take them out to the fields, showing them the different crops and explaining the importance of irrigation and soil conservation. He taught them about the challenges he had faced during the drought, and how he had overcome them through hard work and innovation. But most importantly, he taught them about the importance of perseverance. He told them that farming wasn't always easy, that there would be setbacks and challenges along the way, but that if they never gave up, they could achieve anything they set their minds to. He never told them about the secret meeting with President Kennedy, but he instilled in them the values that Kennedy had embodied: a belief in the American dream, a commitment to helping others, and an unwavering determination to make the world a better place. He watched with pride as his grandchildren grew into responsible, caring young adults, eager to carry on the family farming tradition. He knew that the legacy of his revitalized farm would live on through them, ensuring that the land would continue to provide for generations to come. He smiled, knowing that he had passed on more than just farming skills. He had passed on a spirit of resilience and a deep love for the land. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange, pink, and purple. Jedediah, now a very old man, stood on the porch of his farmhouse, his hand resting on the railing. He gazed out over his flourishing farm, a sea of golden wheat stretching as far as the eye could see. He smiled, a deep, contented smile that reflected a lifetime of hard work, perseverance, and gratitude. He had faced adversity and overcome it. He had kept his promise to President Kennedy, and he had built a legacy that would endure for generations. As he looked up at the sky, a subtle image formed in the clouds, a fleeting glimpse of a familiar face, a kind smile, a symbol of hope. It was John F. Kennedy, watching over him, a silent acknowledgement of the profound impact of a single act of kindness. Jedediah closed his eyes for a moment, his heart filled with warmth and gratitude. He knew that he had been given a second chance, and he had made the most of it. He had not only saved his farm but had also created a better life for his family and a stronger community for all. The story concludes with a sense of peace and fulfillment. Jedediah's legacy is one of resilience, hard work, and the enduring power of hope. It is a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can have a profound impact, and that helping those in need is not only a moral imperative but also an investment in a brighter future for all. The wind whispers through the wheat fields, carrying with it a message of gratitude and the enduring legacy of a secret meeting at a crossroads.